Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Jill Duggar remembers first pregnancy loss. You were loved. Jill Duggar and Derek Dillard have had their share of loss. From losing her grandma Mary to pregnancy loss, the Counting On star has had a lot happen in her life. Several Duggar women and in-laws have suffered miscarriages or pregnancy loss. The Counting On star joined that group in October 2021 when she and Derek Dillard lost their third baby in the first trimester. They were so excited to welcome another little one into their family, but that wasn't the case. Jill Duggar remembers River Bliss. On Instagram, Jill Duggar posted about her third child, River Bliss Dillard. She captioned the share, 10/3/21, the day we lost our third baby to early first trimester miscarriage, River Bliss Dillard. You were loved from the start and will never be forgotten. Miscarriage Awareness Month. Jill and Derek went on to welcome their son, Freddie, after the loss of River. He was born in July 2022 and gave the couple a light in an otherwise dark season. Jill Duggar and Derek Dillard experienced second trimester loss. Jill Duggar and Derek Dillard were due to welcome a fourth child into their family this fall, but that didn't happen. Earlier this year, Jill revealed she expected a second trimester loss. They were expecting a baby girl, whom they named Esla Marie Dillard. The couple documented their journey on social media. Everything was shared with their followers, from the announcement to the photos they took with her. They chose to have a funeral for Isla, which family and friends attended. Jill featured some of that on social media too. Jill took the loss hard, and while sharing her feelings and emotions, she sometimes received backlash for oversharing. Her relationship with her family hasn't always been easy, especially after she released her book Counting the Cost. Things are slowly being mended, with Jill and Derek spotted at family events and holidays. They recently attended Jana Duggar's wedding and were spotted at the big house last Christmas. Jill's healing journey looks different than some expect, but she is working through her trauma and loss as best as she can with the support of her husband by her side. She will remember her two babies and ensure the world doesn't forget them. Jill Duggar Dillard, known for her time on the reality show 19 Kids and Counting, recently shared an emotional tribute that left her followers touched and teary-eyed. In a heartfelt post, Jill opened up about a deeply personal chapter in her life, the loss of her first pregnancy. With vulnerability and grace, Jill poured her heart out, reflecting on the love and hope she and her husband Derek had for their unborn child, who they never got to meet. Jill's journey with pregnancy loss is one that many women and families go through, but it is seldom spoken about openly. In her tribute, Jill sought to break that silence and honor the memory of the child she carried, if only briefly. The child who, though never cradled in their arms, was held dearly in their hearts from the moment they knew about the pregnancy. You were loved from the moment we knew you existed, she wrote, giving voice to a sentiment shared by countless parents who have experienced such loss. The silent joy of expectation. For Jill, as for many women, the moment she discovered she was pregnant was a time of immense joy and quiet anticipation. In her post, she detailed how she and Derek shared the news with each other, exchanging looks of disbelief and excitement. They began to plan their future as a family, imagining the tiny clothes, the nursery, and the laughter that would fill their home. The early days were a whirlwind of happiness, as they dreamed of who their baby would become and what kind of parents they would be. We didn't tell anyone at first, Jill explained. We wanted to keep it between us for a little while, just to savor those first weeks and let it sink in. The early stages of pregnancy were sacred for Jill and Derek, a time of intimate joy that they kept close to their hearts. They dreamed of announcing the pregnancy to their families and seeing the joy light up the faces of their loved ones. But sadly, that announcement would never come. The heartbreak of loss. Jill went on to describe the moment when she realized something wasn't right. I knew something was off, she wrote, explaining how an overwhelming sense of fear washed over her. As a mother-to-be, Jill's intuition told her that something was wrong with the pregnancy. She'd hoped she was mistaken, that everything was fine, but deep down, she felt the gravity of the situation. We went to the doctor, and they couldn't find a heartbeat. Jill's words were heavy with the weight of that memory. The crushing silence in the ultrasound room, the cold sterility of the medical equipment, and the devastating realization that the life they had been so eager to welcome was no longer growing inside her. I felt numb, Jill said. I remembered the doctor talking, but I couldn't hear anything after he said, "I'm sorry." Jill described the days following the loss as some of the hardest of her life. The physical pain of miscarriage was compounded by the emotional toll of saying goodbye to the child she never got to meet. She spoke about the confusion and sadness, the overwhelming grief that hit her and Derek. It felt like we were drowning, she shared, capturing the depth of their despair. But amid the sorrow, Jill also spoke of the immense love she felt for her unborn child. "You were so loved," she wrote. "We never got to hold you, but we loved you from the moment we knew you existed, and we will always carry you in our hearts." Coping with grief. In the aftermath of the loss, Jill and Derek turned to each other for support, their bond growing stronger through the shared grief. "Derek was my rock," Jill wrote. "He held me when I cried, and he was there through every painful moment. I don't know what I would have done without him." Jill also leaned on her faith during this time, finding comfort in prayer and in the belief that her child was now in heaven. "I found peace knowing that our baby was with God, but that didn't take away the pain of not having them here with us," she explained. Her faith provided her with the strength to keep going, even when the days felt unbearably heavy. In her tribute, Jill touched on the complexity of emotions that accompany pregnancy loss. "It's okay to be angry, to feel sad, to feel everything all at once," she said, encouraging other women who have gone through similar experiences to allow themselves to grieve in their own way. "There is no right or wrong way to grieve," she emphasized, giving voice to the internal conflict that many feel when coping with such a profound loss. Jill also expressed gratitude for the support she and Derek received from their family and friends during this difficult time. "The love and prayers from everyone around us meant so much," she wrote. "It reminded us that we weren't alone, and that made all the difference." A lasting memory. Jill's tribute was more than just a reflection on her own experience. It was a message of solidarity for others who had gone through similar heartbreak. "To anyone who has lost a child, know that you are not alone," she wrote. "Your baby was loved, and their memory will always be with you." She also shared how she and Derek chose to honor the memory of their child. "We decided to name our baby River," Jill revealed. "It felt right, like a tribute to the life that flowed through me, however briefly. The name was a way for them to remember and honor their child, whose presence, though fleeting, had left a lasting impact on their lives." "We planted a tree in our yard in River's memory," Jill continued. "Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of the love we have for our baby. That love never goes away. It's always there, just like the tree." Moving forward. As Jill looks back on her experience, she acknowledges that the pain of losing a child never fully goes away. "It changes you," she wrote, "but it also makes you stronger." The loss of her first pregnancy shaped her in ways she never expected, but it also gave her a deeper appreciation for the gift of life and the love she has for her children. Jill's tribute was a powerful reminder that, even in the face of loss, there is love and strength to be found. Through her words, she offered comfort to others who have experienced similar pain and honored the memory of her child, who was deeply loved and will never be forgotten. "You were loved," she wrote to River, "and you always will be."